Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Thursday, October 26th, 2023. I'm your host, Jon Jeune, and of course, I got my guy, Greg Pennamon, here with me. Greg, how we doing?
Doing well. Got that Thursday night game tonight. Hit to see Buffalo, see which Buffalo we get to see tonight. So it'd be interesting to figure that out. And yeah, get to finish out the week and get ready for week 8, man. It's flying right now.
Flying, man, flying for sure. Like you said, Thursday night football tonight. Make sure you go ahead and, if you haven't, listen back to our Thursday night preview that we did yesterday, as well as our breakdown of the 1 p.m. games. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube, X, or Twitch, or you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Play. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get those notifications about the new episodes that drop. We did have some health scares yesterday after we recorded. There was, Tyreek Hill didn't practice, so that was questioned about his hip, and Tua had used some odd wording, which kind of implied that they were expecting to be without Tyreek Hill for an extended period of time. But he practiced today, returned to practice today, so it seems like all is, headed in the right direction there. Deshaun Watson, who we are going to talk about in this next game, I guess we might as well just jump into it. Deshaun Watson probably or is already listed as out, will not play as he continues to deal with that shoulder injury that's bothered him for a few weeks now. And so in regards to this game here, the Seattle Seahawks are – well, the 4-2 Cleveland Browns travel to Seattle to take on the 4-2 Seattle Seahawks in a game that has a 40.5-point total. I'm just going to go make sure that this line hasn't moved. It hasn't shifted at all with the news.
Yeah, I think it's 3.5 Seattle.
Oh, yeah. 3.5 Seattle. So not much movement, but the total did go down from 40.5 to 38.5. And the Seahawks, like you mentioned, Greg, are 3.5-point favorites here. So, Greg, where are you going to go with this one on the total of 38.5 and the spread of 3.5?
Yeah, with the new total, I think I'm going to take the over. But I'm going to take the Seahawks to cover and the Seahawks to win.
Yeah, it's funny. I had the over on 42.5, or 40.5, whatever it was, 40.5. I will take the over on 38.5, and I will take the Seahawks to cover the 3.5. I will also take the Seahawks to win this game. On the Cleveland side, PJ Walker has led the Browns to 2 straight wins, but neither of which has he been, somebody that we want to play from a fantasy perspective. So obviously, I don't think you're going to go out there. Jerome Ford is expected to miss this game and probably another game with the ankle injury that he's dealing with. And so Kareem Hunt, who's been dealing with a thigh injury, is probably going to be getting a bulk of the work here. But don't sleep on Pierre Strong also being involved here. The Seattle defense has proven to be much better against the running back position that now than they were to start the year. Over their last 3 games, they give up the 31st most PPR points to the running back position. So not as great of a matchup as it once looked like. But Greg, how do you see these running backs fitting in this week? In a week where we have basically every team, no teams on bye.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to throw Kareem Hunt out there to start him at flex consideration. Maybe like a strong RB3. Maybe if he gets that touchdown, he'll fall into some RB2 upside. And then Pierre Strong, I think with the matchup being a little more tough, I definitely think he's definitely a stash option. I don't know if I can put him out there to start though for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because the way I look at it is no matter what the Browns have faced in terms of matchup wise, I mean, even when Jerome Ford had tough matchups, right? Like he
Mhm.
was still producing. They were
Yeah.
still getting volume. I think when you invest in this running back situation, it's very similar to how we feel about San Francisco. You are investing in a scheme, right? You're investing in the scheme and the volume here, and I think I'm willing to treat both these guys as RB3s here, just because they should. Like, how else? If the Browns, there's a world where the Browns win this game, like, and how else do they do it? It's not PJ Walker dropping back and throwing 35 times. It's going to be because they ran the ball probably like 40 times in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that they let kind of Amari Cooper kind of dominate any receiving yards they get with some David and Njoku action in there. So I think both of those guys are probably the other must starts or startable people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Njoku, he's always going to be in conversation because he plays tight end. The Seahawks allow the 26th most PPR points at the tight end position, so not particularly a great matchup here. But they're 19th against wide receivers. Where does Amari Cooper slot in for you this week at the
Yeah, I
wide
think
receiver?
he's a low and wide receiver too. Just he, as far as he's going to get the volume as far as the targets and stuff. I think if they're going to throw it, he's the guy that showed up kind of all year. So he's in that low and wide receiver 2 category for me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have him closer to a 3, just because of I mean, obviously the quarterback play hasn't been great, but probably
Yeah.
have him closer to a 3. But I think we're just picking, just grasping at hairs at that point. Um, let's move on to Seattle side. How does Geno Smith fit in for you this week? This is particularly Cleveland's looked like a really bad spot, on the season. But in recent weeks, I mean, they got beat up by Gardner Minshew. Brock Purdy wasn't, completely terrible against them. They've allowed over their last 3 games the fourth most fantasy points to the quarterback position. Obviously, again, that includes a huge spike week by Gardner Minshew where he
Mhm.
scored 2 rushing touchdowns. Uh, are you willing to play Geno Smith in this spot this week?
I'm not really excited to go with, especially with the low total. I think this kind of does come back to earth as far as these are both teams that like to run the ball. It's gonna be slow paced. I think you can find better matchups rather than playing Geno in this spot here.
Yeah, I'm with that. I mean, he's probably going to be a high tier QB2. Like I think
Yeah.
in 2 quarterback leagues, like I would have to play him in a
Yeah.
1 quarterback league. Probably look elsewhere. Kenneth Walker the third did miss practice yesterday with a calf injury, so that's going to be something to monitor. We know he's somebody who's been banged up, so make sure you have Zach Charbonnet on speed dial there. But how does Kenneth Walker slot in for you this week after we saw the success that the Indianapolis Colts running backs had last week?
Yeah. Kenneth Walker is definitely a RB1. I'm expecting him to at least get a touchdown here. So yeah, he's in that RB1 spot for me.
And then what about the wide receivers? They find themselves in a relatively tough spot. Cleveland hasn't allowed a whole ton of success to opposing fantasy wide receivers. They allow the 24th most PPR points against the position over their last 3 games. DK Metcalf obviously, didn't play last week, but he returned to practice this week. Tyler Lockett's obviously going to be in the fold as well. How do those 2 guys slot in for you this week, Greg?
Yeah, DK, I think it's wide receiver 2. Lockett, kind of in that up and down. He's been always up and down in his career. He's in that down part, I think, right now. So I'm gonna have him as a wide receiver 3 in this game.
Yeah, I kind of see it the same way. Where DK is probably a lower tier wide receiver too, just because of the matchup, and then Tyler Lockett, like you said, not really. Um, the numbers aren't quite there right now, so he's gonna be in the wide receiver 3 territory for me. Again, because of this matchup here, and then JSN probably like a very low end flex option after his big game last week, but um, not something I think we want to go into the teeth of this defense this week.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on to the next game here. We've got the 3-3 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Santa Clara to take on the 5-2 San Francisco 49ers. This game has a 45.5-point total, where the San Francisco 49ers are 5.5-point home favorites. Actually,
Gotta be
make that
3.5 now.
3.5
Yeah.
now and make the total 43.5.
Brock Purdy effect.
The Brock Purdy effect. Brock Purdy not expected to play in this game, dealing with a concussion. Players this year who have entered the concussion protocol in pretty much every circumstance, every case, have missed the next game there. So, at least the next game. So, it looks like Brock Purdy probably going to miss this game, which means Sam Darnold probably going to make a start. Greg, do you know how old Sam Darnold is?
27.
26 years old, pretty close.
Okay.
It's pretty surprising because he's been in the league for so long.
He came in at like 21, I feel like, right?
Yeah, he was like 21 when he
Yeah.
first got drafted.
Yeah.
So gonna make this start this week. Even before the Brock Purdy news, I had picked it this way. Give me the over, give me Cincinnati to cover, give me Cincinnati to win this game here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just Cincinnati coming off the bye week. San Fran struggling a little bit. They're going into a bye week next week. Definitely be tough to go into three losses straight, but it's looking like it, I think.
Yeah, really tough, but that's what it seems like here. On the Cincinnati side, this is a tough spot for the Cincinnati offense against going up against the San Fran defense. I mean, Kirk Cousins in prime time didn't seem like a problem for
Yeah,
him.
lit them up. You lit them up.
Did light them up, but I find it hard to bet against them 2 weeks in a row as a defense. Jamar Chase probably going to be a wide receiver one for me. If there's a weakness that they have, it is, opposing wide receivers. Joe Mixon, probably an RB1. T. Higgins, though, how do you see him slotting in this week? Obviously, he's been somebody that I think people have been disappointed in. I could speak for myself as a T. Higgins manager. I know obviously you have him in our dynasty league as well, so you could speak to it for sure. But the start of the year was rough. Joe Burrow wasn't completely healthy. He was getting the targets; they just were not falling. Then there was that primetime game against Pittsburgh where or was it against Pittsburgh or the Rams? It was the Rams. That primetime game against the Rams where he dropped he had at least like 2 drops. There was an offensive pass interference called against him. It was just a rough game and it was on prime time, so it gets exacerbated, right? Because you're actually watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following game, he comes out, has the rib injury, and then sits out a week, and then the week before the bye goes out, plays in limited action, almost not really himself, doesn't see the full allotment of targets. So I think people like T. Higgins is in a place where T. Higgins managers are really frustrated. And so you could probably buy low on T. Higgins, but in reference to this game here, Greg, how do you slot T. Higgins in from amongst fantasy wide receivers?
I think to start, he's got to be a strong wide receiver 3. I think he's got wide receiver 2 upside just because the talent and who T. Higgins is. So that's kind of where I'm at on that borderline of a 3, but I still see him as a 2. Rest of the season going forward.
Yeah, definitely a wide receiver 2 rest of the season for sure. Hey, look, maybe he has another bad game and you can go buy him again or go buy him after this one. So
Maybe.
Joe Burrow, obviously had the big game before 2 weeks ago, and then had an okay game last week before going on bye. So any interest in playing him this week against San Fran?
Yeah. I'm all in. I think he's still in that QB1 territory.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have him lower on the QB2 side, just because find it hard to go against the San Fran defense. I know we watched what Kirk Cousins did, but um, yeah, that was again probably hard to replicate. But Joey B definitely talented enough to get it done there.
Yeah,
Uh,
off a bye week. They had 2 weeks to prepare for this team. I think they'll have a good game plan. Jamar Chase is going to be hard to cover, so he'll get his.
Most definitely. Um, on the San Fran side, CMC definitely an RB1.
Yep.
Are you downgrading any of these San Fran pieces with Sam Darnold coming in to be the starter?
No, I mean still see Ayuk as their one on their team. I think he's a strong wide receiver too. So maybe I guess he's been playing like almost a one this year, borderline. So maybe a downgrade to a strong two. George Kittle still is a tight end one for me as well. So not too much. And McCaffrey, he's still gonna get his touchdown. He's still gonna do what he does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, y'all listening, Greg, you know this. I'm a Jets fan. I'm a big believer in Sam Darnold. Still am. I still think that he can play,
Hmm.
and I'm not actually concerned about him this week in this, playing for Kyle Shanahan. I'm actually excited, if anything, because I've always wanted to see Sam Darnold play for a guy like Kyle Shanahan to see what that looks like. So I think Ayuk will be fine. I think Kittle will be fine. If Debo Samuel goes, I think he's a wide receiver 3 or a flex option if he does, but probably doubt it with the bye week coming up. Anything else on this game you want to add, Greg?
No, Joe Mixon RB2. That's about it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. The 5-2 Baltimore Ravens traveling to Arizona to take on the 1-6 Arizona Cardinals. This game has a 44-point total, where the Baltimore Ravens are 8.5-point favorites on the road. Greg, where are you going with this matchup?
I'm going to take the over in this one. I'm gonna take Arizona to cover, but Baltimore to win.
I will take the over here. I'll take Baltimore to cover 8.5 and Baltimore to win this game. Kyler Murray, full practice yesterday. Do you think he plays this week, Greg?
No, I think they wait one more week.
I also think they wait one more week.
Yeah.
Revenge game for Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Nice.
How do you view him this week against Baltimore, his former team?
I see him as also a wide receiver too. I still maybe stronger than a guy like T. Higgins, who we mentioned last in the previous matchup. But he's right at that one wide receiver 2 mark. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. This Baltimore defense is tough, man. I mean, 31st against quarterbacks, 38th against wide receiver, or 28th against wide receivers, and 28th against tight ends. And again, that's not good. That's bad, right? So
Yeah.
bad for you wanting to
Right.
play players. So Marquise Brown's probably gonna be a wide receiver 3 for me, but probably a buy low candidate with Kyler coming back soon.
Good point.
So maybe you want to buy into him. DeMarcado,
RB3. The Ravens, no, they're strong against the pass, but they are weak against the run.
they allow the 9th most PPR points to the running back position over their last 3 games here. So DeMarcado, I mean, if you told me between DeMarcado, Keontae Ingram, and Damian Williams, there was like going to be 3 separate simulations, and they were all get the same amount of touches. Whose touches do you want? I think I want DeMarcado's.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So RB3 for me this week. McBride, Baltimore Ravens
Right,
they are a terrible matchup for the tight end. 28th. He is my stream of the week. Do you have any concern about going in the teeth of this Baltimore Ravens defense with McBride?
I think you gotta bet on the volume just because when Zach Ertz was the starting tight end, he was getting at least 6, 7, sometimes 8 targets a game. So I think Trey McBride will kind of insert himself and get that volume as well. So I think he falls into a tight end 1 week on the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, I always say this with wide receivers. I mean, if they get a 30% target share, like I don't really care what the defensive matchup is. I want the
Mhm.
target share. I haven't really quite found what that number is for tight ends, but if he's got enough targets, I really don't care.
Yeah, yeah, especially
So
PPR league.
most definitely in a PPR league. Um, on the Baltimore side, Lamar top 3 option at the position.
Sir,
Mark Andrews top 3 option at the position.
sir.
And then Zay Flowers and Gus Edwards come in as what at their respective positions?
I think Zay is a strong 2. I'm close to saying he's a 1, but I'm gonna keep him as a strong 2. His man has had one of the best schedules for wide receivers all year. I feel like every week he's got a really good matchup. And Gus, I think, is also a very strong wide receiver too, with some RB1 upside.
Wow, a wide receiver too with RB1
I mean,
upside.
sorry, RB2. He could do it all. He could do it all.
I mean, after that 80-yard reception last week, definitely seems like he could do it all for sure. Yeah, no, Isaiah Flowers is definitely a strong wide receiver too. I mean, it's crazy because he has not had a blow up game yet. It's felt like, one of those games where, 20 PPR points, 25 PPR points. He has not had one. It feels like
Mm,
he's so close to having one of those games.
mm.
Somebody that I would like to buy. It's funny, Greg. I was looking for some trade offers I might want to make in our League of Extraordinary People, and I landed on your roster, and I was like, ooh, let me cook a package up for Zay Flowers. And I was like, there's no point. Greg's not going to trade me Zay
That's
Flowers.
my
So
guy, yo. That's my guy, yo.
no point. Gus Edwards, strong RB2 for sure in this matchup
Mm.
against Arizona. Should see enough volume there to make that work. Anything else on this game you want to add?
No.
All right, let's move on to this next one. The 6-1 Kansas City Chiefs travel to Denver 4:25 p.m. to take on the 2-5 Denver Broncos. This game has a 46-point total, where the Kansas City Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites. In this matchup here, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to cover the 7.5. I will take the over, and I will take the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game.
Yes, I'm with you on all 3 for this one.
Wow, that is interesting. You picked the Kansas City Chiefs not to cover a game.
Yeah, I guess because they're on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this one just screams like weird AFC West matchup. And isn't this the second time they've played each other in like 3 weeks? I think they just played each other on
Yes.
Thursday Night Football
Yep.
like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So it's just very hard to beat a team twice, very handedly. Their
Yeah.
defense the Broncos defense actually played well against the Chiefs that night.
It did. It did. Yeah.
And so
I think they were in the red zone like every possession. It felt like, and they just could not find the end zone. So, but the Chiefs, I'm sure, will make adjustments to get in the end zone too, though.
yeah, and Denver just has to find a way to put up points against the Chiefs. On the Chiefs side, the trifecta of Mahomes, Kelsey, and Pacheco.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mahomes might finish the QB1 this week, I think.
Strong possibility.
Yeah.
Strong possibility that Kelsey finishes as the tight end 1 this week. And Pacheco probably somewhere in the middle of the RB1.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice.
Yes, sir.
Are you rolling him out there this week?
I think he's entered finally like that flex consideration. I think is the most reliable piece outside of the big 3. So yeah, I think he's worthy of a flex play.
I've been flexing him for 2 weeks now. What you talking about?
Yeah. I think he's here though. He's
yeah,
here.
No, he's here. On the Denver side, let's try this again. Is Russ a high-end QB2 this week?
Yeah. I would expect them to kind of build off the couple weeks ago. QB2. Yeah.
Kansas City's 24th most points to quarterbacks, 25th to running backs, 16th to wide receivers, and 19th to the tight end position. Does that excite you about any of these auxiliary pieces on the Denver side, specifically the wide receivers?
Cortland Sutton's always been the guy I've been looking at all year, of being that solid wide receiver 3. I think he's going to continue to be that all year. For Russell Wilson, he's been pretty much his main guy, I think, all year.
Yeah, I agree there. I agree there as well. Javonte Williams, probably an RB3 for me this week. Jaleel McLaughlin, any interest in playing him, flexing him, stashing him?
Oh yeah, definitely he needs to be rostered. I think if you're really hurting for a play, then you might have no choice. I wouldn't be like too scared to put him in the lineup though. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
talented. He seems to have a good floor right now.
yeah, he's got a decent floor of like 6 points. I mean,
Mhm.
if he gets the touches or if there's an injury, then he's obviously becomes way more valuable.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he definitely needs to be rostered. I
Yeah,
made the
I agree.
mistake of dropping him because I was trying to play some games, see if I can claim him back, and then somebody claimed him for $1. I lost him, so
Brutal.
I'm just hoping he maybe gets dropped because he goes on by next week. So we'll see.
Maybe
Um,
bad game with a bye week. Yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, anything else on this game that you want to add, Greg?
Nah, seems like Taylor Swift won't be there because it's not in Kansas City, so
And it's not New York, so like, what's the?
it's not New York. Yeah.
She seems like she would have a time in Denver, though.
Yeah, that's true. Seems like a good time. It's hard to breathe though, so I don't know if for a singer if that's a good move.
Mm. All right, I think we've officially gone over the Taylor Swift
Dakota.
for the
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
um, moving on to this next matchup, Sunday Night Football. The 2-5 Chicago Bears travel to Los Angeles to take on the 2-4 Los Angeles Chargers. This game has a 46.5-point total, where the LA Chargers are 8.5-point favorites at
That's
home here.
crazy. That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Greg, where are you going with this game?
I'm gonna take the over and take the Bears to cover, but I'll take the Chargers to win.
I'm going to take the under, and I'll take the Bears to cover and the Chargers to win. Part of me just wants to see Tyson Badgett just pull it off, man.
Right? Right, yeah, right. Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah, he played well last week. He played well.
uh, DJ Moore, this is terrible, man, because he is in a. If Justin Fields is playing in this game, like DJ Moore is in like
Yeah, that Thursday night game category.
start of the week, like
Yeah.
3 times over type category. So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna have him down as a wide receiver 2 with some significant upside, significant wide receiver 1 upside, because of a combination of the matchup, hence the upside, but the quarterback that he's playing with, hence the downgrade. Greg, do you see it that way?
Yeah, definitely got the upside. He'll get the volume. He was one foot away from getting a touchdown last week as well. So he's gonna get the ball and get utilized in different types of ways.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers just give it up to wide receivers, so
Yeah.
they're actually their 3-week average has gone, looks worse because they played the Chiefs, who like don't utilize wide receivers at all, really. But prior to that, like CeeDee Lamb, who like goes out and everyone's like, oh, he's not a wide receiver 1, just like demolished the Chargers. So DJ Moore, I'm kind of expecting a similar thing here. But is there a soul out there with the courage to play Tyson Badgett in this matchup? I mean, the Chargers allow the 3rd most fantasy points to the quarterback position. Every quarterback that they have played has been a usable fantasy asset. Is there any way that you are looking to play Tyson Badgett in this game?
Only in 2 quarterback leagues. I not in a 12 team, 14, maybe 16. Then then we can start talking.
Oh man, yeah, 16-team league. I think he's definitely got to be. The conversation starts for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Super flex, 100%. I think he's got to be in your lineup.
yeah.
Um, yeah, he's got to be. He's got to be at least on your roster, on your bench. Like considering, like if you are in the depths of super flex hell, like I am in one league where like you starting, like I'm starting, I'm trying to decide between Josh Dobbs and Sam Darnold this week, right? Like that's where I'm at
Okay.
for my second quarterback. So Tyson Badgett would 100% be in that equation for me if he was not already rostered.
Yeah, tough.
Definitely a tough one. Um, on
Dante
the
Foreman, baby, start him
Deontay,
up.
start him up, right? The
Yes,
Chargers
sir.
allow the eighth most PPR points to the running back position over their last 3 games. So Deontay Foreman coming off the big 3 touchdown game. Has he done enough, you think, to hold on the rest of these running backs when they get back?
Mm,
Like Roshan should be back this week. Khalil
yeah, I
Herbert
think he holds off Roshan. Khalil, I think he'll enter timeshare because Khalil was running also well when he was playing. So I think when they both are back, I think they're both kind of in that RB2 category.
yeah, kind of signaling that you should sell Deontay Foreman.
It's a good point. Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. After this game, of course,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
do it during this game or before this game. Uh, Cole Kmet, he's like, I don't know if it's just the Justin Fields injury, but it seems like he's gone back to irrelevance here. Charges a lot of the 13th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Are you throwing Cole? I've seen him on waivers in leagues.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's in that streaming category still, but yeah, the quarterback situation doesn't help him. I think Fields likes to look to him. I think they kind of want to run the ball more anyway when Badgen is in. So I think you can she's streaming category, but you can look to other tight ends first, like the ones we have, Trey McBride, other pieces.
Yeah, and I think the moment that Fields, you get that, hey, Fields is practicing, like I'd start looking for Cole Kmet again if you need help at tight end.
Yeah.
On the Chargers side, uh, I am not the strongest. So I'm not the strongest on this Chargers offense, particularly this week. I'm downgrading them a little bit. The Chicago Bears have been better as a defense in recent weeks. 20th against quarterbacks, 30th against running backs. Where they do continue to get beat is at tight end and wide receiver,
Hmm.
where they're 5 and 10 respectively. Um, I'm gonna probably see Herbert as a borderline QB1, but Greg, do you see that differently this week?
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bullish on Herbert, Keenan Allen. Um, I mean, the only one I would be, I guess, worried about is Eckler, which is crazy. You would think he's the one that's for certain, for sure. But he might have the best matchup of all of them. I gotta see it. I gotta see. This got to be the get right game for Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I mean the Bears are 30th against running backs over their last 3 games. So um, they did shut down Josh Jacobs last week. They shut down Brian Robinson 2 weeks prior to that. So they've been pretty good against running backs after looking like basically they were going to be a smash spot for running backs. But Eckler, I think, gets enough volume through the rush game and the receiving game to make an impact. I do agree. Keenan Allen definitely, um, definitely in play.
Hmm.
As a top 10 wide receiver this week. Josh Palmer is interesting as well. I mean, he's been playing
Hmm.
really well these last few games.
Yes, yes,
Are you willing to throw him out there as like a wide receiver 2 this week?
yeah, definitely. At the very least, a flex for sure.
And then your boy Gerald Everett,
Whatever.
he's got the matchup this week. Any interest there?
I play him over Cole Kmet. I don't know if that's saying much, but we talked about Cole Kmet, so I guess we gotta say if Gerald Everett is better to play than him.
Gerald Everett or Jake Ferguson?
Did you ask this yesterday?
I feel like I asked it yesterday, possibly.
I think I'm gonna go Jake Ferguson.
Gerald Everett or Kyle Pitts?
I'll take Kyle Pitts.
Gerald Everett or Luke Musgrave?
Does a healthy Luke Musgrave? I'll take Luke Musgrave.
Gerald Everett or this is one I'll get you to pick. Gerald Everett, Tyler Conklin.
Yeah. I'll take Gerald Everett. Yeah.
Gerald Everett or Michael Mayer with a potentially Jimmy Garoppolo, which that game we're talking about next.
Yeah, if Jimmy G's going, I'll take Michael Mayer.
You got it. Gerald Everett for like 3 catches and 2 touchdowns next week. Anything on this game, Greg, before we move on to the next one?
No.
All right, moving on to the next and last game we are going to cover today. Monday Night Football. The 3-4 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Detroit to take on the 5-2 Detroit Lions. This game has a 44.5 point total, where the Detroit Lions are 8.5 point home favorites in this one. Jimmy Garoppolo did miss last game with a back injury, is on track to play this game this week on Monday night. Greg, where are you going with this one here?
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Lions to cover, though, and the Lions to win. I think they bounce back in a big way.
Same here. That's where I'm at. David Montgomery most likely not going to play this game as the Lions have a bye week next week. Give him the opportunity to get right and get healthy. So it means another week of Jahmyr Gibbs, who absolutely loving this spot here. I mean,
yeah.
This was like start of the week type territory here for Jahmyr Gibbs for me. Guess we'll just have to see if I did it. Anyway, Greg, you sounds like you were in agreement there. Big spot for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. Love him. Jared Goff, I think, is a QB1 for this week. Mon Ra, and also Josh Reynolds, I think, is in flex consideration as well.
Yeah, definitely love Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, Amon Ra, going to be a high-end wide receiver 2, very low wide receiver 1. I mean, the Raiders they're another one. They've looked a lot better in recent weeks in terms of their matchups. 32nd most PPR points to quarterbacks, 30th most to wide receivers, 4th to the running back position, hence all the love for Jahmyr Gibbs. And 22nd against tight end. Sam Laporta obviously going to be out there as a tight end 1. Jared Goff, you said high end QB1. You said that, right? High end QB1 or just
low, borderline. Yeah, he's going to be QB1 though. Yeah, like 11, 12.
Yeah. Okay. I'll probably have him closer to a middle wide quarterback 2, middle to upper quarterback 2. On the Raiders side, Jimmy Garoppolo just. How does that make you feel about these Raiders wide receivers? It seems like Myers is productive regardless of long as Hoyer or Jimmy G are out there. Myers is good. It's Devontae that seems to be the concern.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll, at some point, get back to being that wide receiver 1 we expect him to be. I still think he's a wide receiver 1 in this matchup. But yeah, Myers is also strong wide receiver 2. Got wide receiver 1 upside as well, I think, because he just gets the looks. He's getting the looks right now.
If you only had space for one of them in your lineup, who would you play?
Wow. I'll still take Devontae.
It's crazy, right? Because you really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like if I just put the numbers in front of you and I didn't give you names, you would choose.
Yeah, I would choose Myers.
You would choose Jacoby Myers, 100 out of 100.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I think I would play Jacoby Myers.
I can't fault you for that. Yeah.
It's terrible to say, right? Because like it's a primetime game, like like Devontae I feel like he just gets up for those. Like I don't know, but
is the ball gonna get up for him? Like is it gonna be thrown to him? Yeah.
Like can't he just be like, hey, no, Jacoby, I'm gonna run that route.
Yeah,
let's switch spots. Michael Mayer. I'm willing to take the shot on him this week. Banking on Jimmy G playing, but even if Jimmy G doesn't play, I'm just gonna just hope that what happened last week was an anomaly. The Detroit Lions allowed the 11th most PPR points to the tight end position. Michael Mayer, I think, has to be in some consideration there.
Yeah, I agree.
Josh Jacobs, though, that's a conversation.
It
Has
is.
been underwhelming, is getting all the volume, doing nothing with it. The Detroit Lions are
I agree.
27th
Tough matchup
against
too.
tough matchup. Are you gonna just play Josh Jacobs all willy nilly, or are you looking for some
And
other
just
options?
like don't look. That's kind of where we're at this. I mean, yeah, it's tough. I mean, if I was like in a situation where I'm playing Jimmy Gibbs over Josh Jacobs. I'm playing like a lot of, I think you can't just say he's RB1 right now. I think he's a strong RB2, maybe mid-tier RB2. I mean,
He's in the probably like the Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs. Which one?
Derrick Henry.
I don't think I would play Henry too. Um, but he's like in that range of players for me this week where
Yeah,
I'm not particular. Like I'm only like Najee Harris. Like I'm only playing him because he's gonna get enough volume, and that's the
yeah,
only reason why I'm playing him. Really.
yeah.
All right. Anything else on this game before we move on?
No, no.
All right, let's get on to this money time, man. Those starts of the week. Greg, why don't you start, man? Your quarterback start of the week this week.
Yeah, man. Got to go with Justin Herbert. Going against Chicago. To start the year off, he was doing really well. But the last 2 weeks he struggled a little bit, not skating over that 20-point mark after the bye week. But I think he gets back to his early season form, gets over 20 fantasy points going against Chicago. I think all of his pieces are going to do well as well, and Herbert gets back on track.
Yeah, man, definitely like that one. We are big fans of the Herb here on
Yes,
Fantasy
sir.
Football Diagnostics Podcast. You could probably call us like day ones of the day ones, man. Like for real.
Herb,
Like
man. Monday night, never forget Monday night against the Saints, man.
we were recording during that game, bro, too. It was crazy. Uh from one young quarterback star to another. You're my guy, CJ Stroud. I have to go back to
Eh,
my guy, CJ Stroud, man. Graduated from Stream of the Week. He is now start of the week. Timing couldn't be better as he's gearing up for an exciting matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Over their last 3 games, the Panthers have allowed the 7th most fantasy points to the quarterback position. Their defense isn't exactly locking things down either. When I say that, I mean the Texans, which sets stage for a high scoring affair. Adding to the excitement, Stroud has his reliable target, Tank Dell, back in action, boosting the offensive potential even further. I'm confident in Stroud's abilities this week, and I'm predicting a top 7 finish for him this week.
yeah, yeah. Love it here. Love it here.
Greg, your running back start of the week, man. What do you got?
Yeah, man, I'm going with Gus the Bus going against Arizona. Just love this matchup for him. Love this matchup for the entire Ravens team, and it starts with the run with Lamar and Gus. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to. I not guarantee a touchdown, but I think he's gonna definitely be one of those guys that gets one for sure this weekend. They're gonna be up a lot during the game, so Gus is gonna start the game and close the game for them.
I love that, man. Picking Gus Edwards because all actuality, probably going to be ranked as an RB2. People are probably on the fence about playing him. This is the right call for sure. I am not taking that route with my running back start of the week. I'm going with Breece Hall.
Woo.
Breece Lightning is back, baby. He's posted over 20 PPR points in his last 2 games, and this week he's facing a Giants defense that's been fairly average against running backs, ranking 15th in PPR points allowed over the last 3 games. Also worth noting, last week we hit the 1 year mark from Breece Hall suffering his ACL tear last year. So now he's 1 year removed. What's even better is that he's coming off a well-deserved bye week, which allowed him to rest and recover after a couple of intense weeks where the production had picked up. I have a strong feeling that the team is ready to unleash him in these upcoming games starting this week. So buckle up, folks. because we're in for an electrifying ride with Brees Lightning.
Love it, man. You gotta love Brees Lightning. Hopefully it doesn't go too off on my Giants, but yeah, Brees Hall was gonna kill.
Yes, sir. Greg, your wide receiver start of the week this week.
Yeah, man, gotta go Christian Kirk going against Pittsburgh. I mean, just in general, Christian Kirk since after that Week 1 dud has been the wide receiver 11 in fantasy. He's been a wide receiver 1 after Week 1 going against Pittsburgh in a great matchup here. Do like Calvin Ridley in this matchup as well, but I think Christian Kirk has kind of elevated himself as being the guy that's going to lead in targets and receptions for Trevor Lawrence because he's short and intermediate. He's also owning in that range as well, and he can gets that yak.
Yes, sir. Christian Kirk definitely balling. It's funny. I was thinking about that time where I think I had picked Christian Kirk for like a random start of the week against Tampa Bay back when he was in Arizona. Like randomly scored 3 touchdowns.
I do remember that. Yep.
Good old times, man. Shows how long we've been doing this, bro. Back to my wide receiver start of the week, and I'm going with the stack. I could have easily gone with Nico Collins to complete the stack here with CJ Stroud, but it's safe to say most of you already know to start Nico Collins. What's more intriguing is whether you should start Tank Dell.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to emphasize that, yes, you should absolutely start Tank Dell. In weeks 2 and 3, he commanded at least a 23% target share, although it did dip in week 4 against Pittsburgh. However, it appeared to be on the upswing in week 5 against Atlanta, but he unfortunately suffered a concussion and had to leave that game early, subsequently missing the following week in week 6. And then he had the bye week in week 7. So people probably forgot who Tank Dell is. He's a rookie, right? Given these circumstances, there's a good chance he might be available in your fantasy league, or you and or your fellow fantasy managers might be contemplating benching him this week. I'm here to tell you he's a must start for week 7. He's poised to be one of the strongest wide receiver 2 options this week with the potential for some sneaky wide receiver 1 upside in a great matchup against Carolina, who allow the 7th most PPR points to the wide receiver position over their last 3 games.
Yeah, love it here. Love Tank Dell. Start him with confidence.
Most definitely. Greg, your tight end start of the week, man. What do you got?
Yeah, going with one of his other teammates going against Carolina, Dalton Schultz. Just adding to the fact that Carolina is a great matchup for Stroud. Their secondary is weak, and tight end position is also a good matchup for them. And also Dalton Schultz is, even with the bye week, he's the tight end 11 in fantasy points, total fantasy points. So he's been, balling this year in PPR leagues, especially after that slow start where, people like me dropped him and everything, but he's bounced back from after week 2 and he's doing what he has to do. So I think he's going to be a guy that you can start with confidence as a tight end 1.
Yeah, most definitely like this one here. Love obviously the Houston Texans offense as a whole this week and the Houston Texans passing attack. So definitely behind this one. For my tight end start of the week, I'm going with Dallas Goedert. And while it might have been a rocky start to the year for Goddard, he's come a long way. You might be surprised to learn that he's currently the tight end 6 in PPR points per game. His recent performances have been particularly impressive, and he's maintained an 18% target share throughout the season, which ranks 9th amongst the tight end position. This week, he's up against a Washington defense that has definitely been generous to tight ends, allowing the most PPR points to the position over their last 3 games. I'm expecting a big week from Goddard, especially considering he's delivered at least 18 PPR points in 2 of his last 3 games, never scoring less than 9 PPR points during that span. So Dallas Goedert, start him up.
Yeah, if Travis Kelce doesn't finish 1, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas got it the 1 right this week.
Yes, sir. Greg, it is that time, man. It is definitely that time.
Yes, sir. Man, I get back on track.
I gotta stay on track. It is time for our weekly game of Get Money. Again, if you don't know the rules, it's a head-to-head DFS contest between Greg and myself. It's a snake style draft. So once a player is selected, they are removed from the player pool. And Greg, it is an even week 8. You do have the first pick this week. So where are you going with that pick?
Got to go with my man Patty, 9,000. Slide him in, get some, spin the bread. Quarterback on against Denver.
Alrighty then. Wow, this is a little embarrassing because I don't have my cell phone in here, and yep, my iPad's gonna make me log in. So just bear with me while I go retrieve my cell phone real quick.
It's cheating, man. Don't let him fool you, man. He's probably going somewhere to go to his AI, put in the algorithm so he can spit out some lineup.
Fair trip. Oh man. Well, my first pick, I'm gonna go with Nico Collins.
Ooh, ooh, brutal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Nico Collins. He is 7,200.
Brutal. Yeah, definitely had Nico in my lineup. So I'll just have to pivot. But while that happens, I'm gonna take Zay Flowers, 6,500, going against Arizona.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna take Tank Dell, 6,000. Also going up against Carolina, my wide receiver start of the week.
Nice. I'm gonna take Isaiah Pacheco, 7,400, going against Denver.
I'm going to take Adam Thielen, wide receiver, 8,200, going up against Houston.
I'm gonna take Devin Singletary, 5,400, going against Carolina.
Nice. I will take Brees Hall, my running back start of the week, 7,200, going up against the New York Giants.
I'm gonna take Jordan Addison at my flex, 7,300, going against Green Bay.
At tight end, I'm going to take Dallas Goedert, my tight end start of the week, 6,200, going up against Washington.
My second wide receiver, I'm gonna take George Pickens, 7,400, going against Jacksonville.
I prepared for this. I did prepare for this, because he's in my flex, so I prepared for this. As my second running back, I'm gonna take Darrell Henderson, 5,900, going up against Dallas.
Yeah, I'm my third wide receiver. I'm gonna just take Christian Kirk, 7,000, going against Pittsburgh. My wide receiver start of the week.
I prepared for this, and yet I do not have an answer. Because I think my pivot was going to be Pacheco, but you took Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a great pivot for me. And Addison also right below him, you also took.
Mm-hmm,
Which
mm-hmm.
means I'm probably going to end up pivoting to the same place I pivoted last week, and it got me 0.3 points. So, question is, do I want to do it again? And the answer is I can't bring myself to do it. I'm gonna do it. Bijan Robinson, 7,100.
At my tight end position, I'm gonna take George Kittle, 6,100, going against Cincinnati.
As my defense, I'll take the New York Jets, 4,400, going up against the Giants.
Look at that. My defense, I'm taking the New York Giants, 3,900, going against the New York Jets.
And for my last pick, I'm taking my quarterback, start of the week, CJ Stroud, 7,400, going up against Carolina.
Love it.
This lineup was almost so perfect, and you had to go and take George Pickens.
Yeah, man. That's my other guy besides Zay Flowers. Got a lot of wide receiver guys.
Excuse me. So, Greg, why don't you go ahead and read off that second place lineup? I mean, go ahead and read off your lineup.
Taking Patrick Mahomes, Patty, 9,000, going against Denver. Isaiah Pacheco at my RB1, 7,400, going against Denver as well. Devin Singletary as my second RB at 5,400. Zay Flowers, 6,500, going against Arizona. George Pickens, 7,400, going against Jacksonville. Christian Kirk at 7,000, going against Pittsburgh. George Kittle, 6,100, going against Cincinnati. Jordan Addison, 7,300. And the New York Giants defense, 3,900, going against the New York Jets.
And my lineup, I've got CJ Stroud as my quarterback, start of the week, and my quarterback, 7,400. Breece Hall, my running back, start of the week, in here at 7,200, going up against the Giants. Darrell Henderson going up against Dallas at 5,900. Adam Thielen, 8,200, going up against the Houston Texans. Nico Collins, 7,200, going up against the Carolina Panthers. Tank Dell, my wide receiver, start of the week, 6,000, also going up against the Panthers. So I get my in-game stack and my super stack here between my quarterback, two wide receivers, and the opposing wide receiver here. So let's go on the over in the Houston-Carolina game. As my tight end, I've got my tight end start of the week, Dallas Goedert, 6,200. As my flex, it really wanted it to be George Pickens, but Greg had to snipe me in the draft, so I stuck with Bijan Robinson, 7,100, going up against Tennessee. And as my defense, I got the New York Jets defense, 4,400, going up against the Giants. And coincidentally enough, my entire lineup plays at 1 o'clock, Greg. So
wow, yeah, you'll know early.
early. Yeah, man. So that pretty much wraps up the show for this week. Greg, anything you want to say to the people before we close this one out?
Oh, man, enjoy this week. Be locked in. I mean, I know none of I think the rest of the country cares about the Jets Giants, but you do. So yeah, definitely be locked into that.
Yeah, man. Jets Giants it's gonna be. Look, man, this thing only happens once every 4 years. Jet fans and Giant fans, I'm sure if you live in the tri-state area, you talk a bunch of trash with your coworkers and your friends. You know, every week you'd be like, "Oh, the Giants lost, ha ha." But it's like the Jets lost too, ha ha. And this week we get to really say like who's better after this one. After for another 4 years, and I just want it to be known. Giants haven't beat the Jets in like 12 years, so just throw that out there.
So 3 matchups.
Victor Cruz 99-yard touchdown. That was the last one. I mean,
crazy.
Just saying.
That was 12 years ago. That's wild.
That's wild. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, the last 2 games were interesting. I mean, there was the one that went to overtime 8 years ago. I don't know if you remember that, Greg. Brandon Marshall catching the back of the end zone to bring it to OT. That game was wild. But yeah, man, it should be fun. Should be a good weekend. Just good football in general. But this should be fun this weekend. And make sure y'all are, again, having fun, tuned into the games, tuned into the matchups. Spending time with family and friends, and the fantasy will be there. It'll be there when you're done, right? You trust us, trust yourself that you put yourself in position to make all the right plays, and don't tinker and you'll be fine, man. You'll be fine for sure. All right, y'all. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to y'all on Monday for our Week 8 recap. We are out of here. Have a good weekend and peace.
Yeah.